Restaurant owner humiliates entitled Karen with $4,000 bill after she demands VIP treatment. Okay, buckle up, because you are not going to believe the audacity of this woman. It all started so innocently, but it spiraled into a revenge fantasy I never knew I possessed. A Karen, as they say, stormed into my restaurant demanding a VIP table, claiming to be BFFs with the owner. The twist, I am the owner, and she was about to learn a very expensive lesson. This Karen barges into the restaurant, practically screaming that she knows the owner, and her entourage of what I'll call mini Karens absolutely needed the celebrity VIP table. The problem, I, the actual owner, had never seen this woman in my life. I felt a dark mischievousness rising within me, so I decided to play along and see where this train wreck was headed. Things took a turn for the sinister during the dinner when one of the mini Karens actually had the nerve to ask me if I thought my life was meaningless because I worked as a waiter. A waiter? That's when the last shred of my restraint snapped. All baits were officially off. I was going to make her pay in every sense of the word. This is the story of how I extracted my retribution. See, my grandparents, bless their Italian souls, started this restaurant in Canada way back in the 70s. When they passed, my parents took the reins, growing it into a local institution. I practically grew up within those walls, working there since I was 15. A few years ago, my parents, finally ready to retire and chase the sun in Florida, sold the restaurant to me. They saw it as a nice little income supplement on top of their savings. But I had bigger ambitions. I immediately poured my heart and soul and a hefty loan into a complete overhaul. New logo, aggressive marketing, food critics, the whole 9 yards. At first, I was terrified. Was I ruining everything? Was I about to obliterate 3 generations of a family legacy? But then, something magical happened. A local YouTuber gave us a shout out, and bam, suddenly, we were packed even on Mondays. We became the destination, drawing crowds and even the occasional celebrity sighting. I even started inviting high-profile chefs to cook for our guests, making us a must-visit spot, especially around the holidays. People were making reservations months in advance. The point is, I built this. I'm not some back-office type. I'm on the floor, hustling, greeting guests, bussing tables, mopping up spills, whatever it takes. On big nights, I suit up and take charge. That's where I was on this night. 6 women walk in. 5 of them were obviously younger, maybe early 20s. I guess the leader was an older sister or some kind of sorority big sister. I was at the door greeting guests as usual, and Queen Bee Karen was already singing my restaurant's praises to her mini Karen followers. Then she turned to me and announced she needed a table for 6. Of course, I replied, can I get the name on the reservation? She just stared at me. Oh, I didn't make one, she said, all breezy and entitled, but it's okay, the owner is a personal friend of mine. He always keeps a table or to open for special guests. Now, this is true. I do keep a couple of tables open for VIPs and walk-ins, but I had never seen this woman before in my life. Playing coy, I said I'm sorry, but we can't seat anyone without a reservation. As you can see, we're completely booked. I didn't want to just blurt out I'm the owner, lady, and you're full of IT, but I also wasn't about to let her waltz in and take advantage of my hard work. That's when she pulled out the big guns. She told one of the mini Karens to snap a picture of me, declaring she'd be speaking to the owner and I'd be scrubbing toilets or fired by the end of the week. The mini Karens chimed in with gimps like, yeah, kiss your minimum wage job goodbye. I wasn't sure if they were in on the scam or just blindly following their queen. Then Queen Bee Karen leveled her final blow. Look, you can either give us a table, or I can make your life very difficult. This isn't worth losing your job. You're obviously nobody here because if you were, you'd know who I am. I had a rough day, to be fair, and at that moment, I saw 3 paths before me. 1. Reveal myself and call her out. 2. Just give her the table and be done with it. Or 3. Teach Queen Bee Karen and her minions a lesson they would never forget. A wicked smile crept across my face. Of course, ma'am, please follow me. I led them to one of the celebrity tables. I apologize for the misunderstanding, I said, using fake sincerity. You're right, it's simpler just to give you the table. I even offered them the first 3 rounds of drinks on the house. I seated them, made sure they were comfortable, and then, with a charming smile, said, just need a credit card and ID to keep on file. We'll return them before you leave. Queen Karen, basking in her perceived victory, practically threw me her card and announced to the mini Karens that the night was on her. I took their orders, delivered their free drinks, and then, with a concerned look, told them that the kitchen was a little backed up, so their food might be delayed. All they cared about were the free drinks. They ordered 3 rounds and still hadn't seen any food. Eventually, they flagged me down, giving me the stink eye, and demanded to know what was going on. I promised to check on it and, casually, asked if they wanted another round. They ordered 2 more. By the time the appetizers arrived, they were practically sloshed, having downed all those drinks on empty stomachs. All they had eaten were salads. Here's the kicker, they were at a VIP table. Normally, it costs a few thousand just to sit there. But I wasn't charging them for the table. Oh no, I was charging them for the drinks, the extremely expensive cocktails. Furthermore, the VIP menu is special. It doesn't have prices listed, it's a restaurant industry secret. It also boasts higher-end items like white truffle mac and cheese, black caviar, fresh West Coast oysters. Partway through the night, I almost felt guilty. Maybe I was going too far. Maybe these girls didn't know any better. But then things happened that stiffened my resolve. First, one of them actually asked if I thought my life was pointless because all I ever became was a server. Second, I overheard them saying things like, "He's cute, but I would never date a waiter. He's such a pushover." And, of course, they were clearly enjoying thinking that they could come whenever they wanted and I'd always give them a table. So I continued with my plan. By the end of the night, each of the mini Karens had racked up a bill ranging from $500 to $600. Then I presented Queen Bee Karen with the grand total, $4,232.23, including tax and tip. I have never seen someone sober up so fast in my life. Her face went from tipsy giggles to stunned disbelief. She immediately demanded to see me, asking if it was some kind of joke. I took the bill, examined it with mock seriousness, and said, "I'll get you the correct one." She seemed relieved, assuming she'd gotten the wrong bill, and even called me an effing idiot. When I returned with the same bill, she flipped out again. "Is there something wrong, something you didn't order?" I asked innocently. They were stunned. They scrutinized every single line, including the first few that listed their initial drinks as complimentary. They pulled out their phones, checked the prices of everything online, added it all up. Queen Bee Karen visibly started to sweat. "I need to use the restroom," she mumbled. Part of me feared a dine and dash, leaving the mini Karens to deal with the damage. But I subtly reminded her that we had her ID and credit card. Not too obviously, of course. She returned with fresh makeup, but it couldn't hide the fact that she had been crying. She proceeded to tell me how awful the food was, how dreadful the drinks were, demanding that I cut the bill in half. She even suggested the mini Karens would help, despite having told them the night was on her. Then, as if struck by inspiration, she brought up her alleged relationship with the owner again, as if that would finally convince me to slash the bill. I smiled. Oh, how I smiled. "No," I said, "simply no. I can't change the bill." She pulled out her phone and showed me a series of text messages from someone saved as my name, owner. I instantly realized what she'd done in the bathroom. Renamed one of the mini Karen's contacts. I casually reviewed the messages, clicked on the contact info, and then said, "That's not the owner's cell phone number." Her response: "He has multiple phones for business, of course. You don't know all his numbers," I countered. "How about this? If we call him, and he says it's okay to take 50% off the bill, then I'll do it." That's when she lost it. Ranting, screaming, drawing the attention of the few remaining patrons, I dropped the act. In a much less conciliatory tone, I said, "Cut the crap, little girl. You don't know the owner. You've never been here before. And if you continue ranting, I'll call the cops." Her demeanor changed instantly, but she tried to defend herself with lame excuses. My response: "My grandfather established this restaurant. My family has been running it for decades. I've worked here my entire life. I am the sole owner of this restaurant, and I have never seen you, heard of you, or made any promises to a stranger I've never seen before tonight." The mini Karens were frozen, unsure how to react. Queen Bee was in tears. "Now," I continued, "I provided you the table you wanted, one of our VIP tables, which I did not charge you for, as well as 3 rounds of free drinks. If you do not pay your bill, I will call the cops and give them your identification." Karen, defeated and sobbing, signed the bill. Talk about sweet revenge. Later, an angry man came into my restaurant and asked to speak with me in private. It was one of the mini Karen's fathers. She was with him, head hung low. I took them to my office and showed him highlights from the security cameras which have high-quality audio in the VIP area, for obvious reasons. I showed him everything, their rude remarks, their extravagant orders, everything. By the end, he was red-faced with rage, practically dragging her out of the restaurant while yelling at her. I haven't seen or heard from any of them since. Oh, and for the record, I didn't lose as much money as you might think. The VIP table was supposed to be empty anyway, so I wasn't losing potential income. And the cost of the meal and drinks more than made up for the free rounds. So, knowing all that, am I the bad guy here? I can't help but think about the way they perceived the world, to ask if I thought my life was meaningless. It's easy to say I should have let it go, but how far would I have been pushed before snapping? So tell me, Reddit, did I handle this situation correctly? I am genuinely curious to hear your opinions. Would you have revealed yourself immediately? Or would you have taken a different approach? I am really curious to know if you think I did a terrible thing or if you would have done something similar given the circumstances. Was I justified in exacting my revenge, or did I take it too far? I am open to all perspectives. I need to hear it from the people.